Hello, my name is Megan Davis and I am the Team Manager for the Cwm Taf Morgannwg Advocacy Service provided by TGP Cymru. Thank you for taking the time to read and hear our presentation. Our aim here is to explore the services that we provide to children and young people in your local area and to encourage you to refer anybody you think may benefit. I'm sure that most of you are aware of advocacy as a wider concept and that you advocate for the children and young people that you work with. Advocacy is promoting children and young people's views, wishes and feelings to ensure that they are taken into account and acted upon during any decision-making processes. The principle of advocacy is enshrined in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, or the UNCRC. It is about representing children and young people, being on their side, upholding their rights and not working from a best interest perspective. We provide independent professional advocacy, meaning we do not play any other role in the lives of the children and young people that we work with. We are independent of any other persons or services. This slide demonstrates what advocacy is not, and what we as independent professional advocates must always do for the children and young people we work with. When we're explaining to children and young people what advocacy is, we often use this traffic light image. Our support to children and young people will often relate to something they want to stop, something they want to change, or something new they want to start. Advocacy and independent professional advocacy services have undergone much change in the last 10 years, leading to today where we have a national approach to statutory advocacy here in Wales. In 2012, the then Children's Commissioner Keith Towler reported in Missing Voices the many flaws in the provision of advocacy for looked after children, care leavers and children in need. There was inequality of funding across the various local authorities in Wales. There was no consistent criteria for access to advocacy, nor any consistent reporting on advocacy provision. Children and young people didn't know about their rights to advocacy, and not all advocacy services were independent of the local authority. There were also issues in terms of a lack of standardised training for independent professional advocates. The national approach to statutory advocacy will now ensure these flaws are addressed and ensure a standardised advocacy provision regardless of where in Wales a young person lives. In 2014, the Social Services and Wellbeing Act placed advocacy on a statutory footing, and the law now states that children and young people have the right to say what they think should happen when adults are making decisions that affect them. Here in Cwm Taf Morgannwg, we provide the active offer of advocacy, issue-based advocacy, non-instructed advocacy, residential visiting advocacy, and the volunteer independent visitor scheme. In order to overcome the challenge that children and young people did not know they were entitled to an independent professional advocate, the active offer of advocacy meeting was introduced as part of the statutory advocacy provision. It involves a designated meeting between an advocate and the child or young person, who is a child or young person entering the care system or a child or young person entering the child protection arena. It's very important that the young person is given consent for the meeting to take place. Social workers should offer all eligible children the opportunity to meet with an advocate to learn about advocacy. If the child or young person accepts the offer of a meeting, the social worker should make the referral to the local advocacy project, requesting an active offer meeting to take place with the child or young person. In your local area, the referral would be made to our service. If you're aware of a child or young person who should have received the active offer of advocacy meeting, but they have not, please get in touch today to refer. This slide details the process we follow when we receive an active offer of advocacy referral. We offer a blended approach to advocacy delivery, including face-to-face meetings with children and young people, as well as virtual engagement as directed by children and young people to best suit their needs. If the child or young person would like independent professional advocacy support following the active offer of advocacy meeting, we will arrange this for them. During the active offer of advocacy meeting, we provide children and young people with lots of information about advocacy in general and other services they can use for support. If children and young people have accessed advocacy support previously or do not require the active offer of advocacy meeting for any other reason, we offer issue-based advocacy support for children supported by social services aged 0 to 21 or up to the age of 25 if in full-time education or training. Issues can include, but are not limited to, support at meetings, issues linked to being in care or involved in the child protection process, such as placement issues, contact issues, or relationships with social workers and professionals. Advocates can liaise with social care, housing, health or education professionals and support young people to access services. Issues can include anything children and young people consider to be an issue. Feedback from children and young people is really important to us, and we're keen to share what some of them have said about our service. One young person said, "I know she's going to help me to get all my feelings and worries from me." Another said, "Advocacy made a difference because I always knew I had someone to talk to when I needed it the most." Another said, "Advocacy made a difference to me because he was with me the whole way." And another said, "I feel more included in decisions because I have an extra person to help me." The next two slides explain how we support children and young people who cannot communicate or instruct us as others do. We believe advocacy services should be accessible to all children and young people. Therefore, we use what is known as non-instructed advocacy. Non-instructed advocacy is a different form of advocacy, and we would encourage you to contact us to discuss how we can help if you feel you know a child or a young person who would really benefit from this support. We also offer an independent visitor service where volunteer befrienders support children and young people looked after up to the age of 18 years with a monthly visit. Please get in touch if you know a child or a young person who might benefit from these visits, or if you know someone who might like to volunteer. We also offer residential visiting advocacy, where an independent professional advocate will visit local authority and sometimes private community homes on a monthly basis to empower and offer advocacy to children and young people in their care. During these monthly visits, the advocates provide children and young people with information about advocacy, information about children's rights, and offer independent professional advocacy where requested. On this slide, we present some of the fantastic outcomes we see for children and young people who access our services. Here's how to get in touch with us if you have any questions about the services we provide. Thanks very much for listening.